Hey, Tom, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How you doing, Mike?
Good, good. Another week has gone by.
Another week. Yeah, it's a cold one here.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah, it's in the teens. We're supposed to get some of the predictions say up to 10 inches of snow. Now, I do not
Oh,
buy that,
yeah,
but
yeah,
we're going to
really.
get some snow.
It's funny because we're getting rain here, and I mean, if this had been snow, we would have been pounded. But I'm happy to let you have it for once. So,
We'll take it. We don't get it that often.
yeah, you don't. We get it a lot more frequently. So, but
So, for all our viewers out there, today's movie is The Empty Man, a horror film that came out in 2020 to very mixed reviews. And so, right off the bat, I got to ask Mike, what did you have you seen that before? What did you think?
I had never seen it before, and to tell you the truth, I it probably would have taken me a lot longer to see it
Mhm.
had you not suggested it and had that not come up on our viewing. And I do have to say I had some mixed feelings about it. I can't say I loved it at
Mhm.
all. Um, I enjoyed it. And in some ways it's weird because I was going to ask you if you got the same feeling, and I don't know how much of it is because of the comic book styling and all that, but it felt like two movies in some ways.
Yeah.
That was like, especially the start, like I was really almost expecting a different film the way
Hmm.
it started, and I was really intrigued about the first part, and then when it went away from that, but you give us some info because I'm
So
sure
one
you
of the
do the
complaints
background.
about the movie
Yeah.
is that I've heard people say the best part of the movie is the first 20 minutes.
Mm, it really is. I loved the first part of the movie. So yeah,
It's the longest cold open
yeah,
I've seen to a movie. The opening scene, it opens up, and I think it runs for 22 minutes. And after that, you see the title placard.
yeah, yeah.
And so it's very much a cold open, and you do get whiplash from that first part
Oh
to
yeah,
basically the rest of the film.
yeah. It threw me. I mean, I have to say, a veteran film watcher, and it threw me because I was actually like really getting into a different movie, and I almost think it does a disservice to itself because the opening's so good. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and even just the way things were being set up with that cabin that they get
Mhm.
into, and how menacing that thing is outside, and just there's a whole lot of crazy in that first scene, and then what you end up having is later on the film just like it slowed for me,
Oh
and
yeah,
so yeah, I think that was another problem. But yeah,
this is like I love this film, but I'll be the first to admit this is a deeply flawed film.
yeah, but again, like I said, I can't say I didn't enjoy it because I did. It's just that I have some problems with it, and because of that, I do consider it flawed. But I won't say that like it was. Like you get people say I'll never get those 2 hours back or something, and it's like no, I enjoyed it. So I would say I came away and enjoying the movie. So.
Now, did you know that was based on a comic book?
I did, but only like really peripherally. So actually, if you got some info on that, I'd like to hear it because I actually don't know that much about it. I mean, I like I said, I did look up a little bit, but yeah, whatever you got, give us the background on that.
So that came the comic book it was based on is a mini series called The Empty Man, same
Okay,
name,
okay,
written by Cullen Bunn
okay,
and published out of Boom Studios.
okay. Was it a graphic novel or was it in?
No, as far as I can tell, it came out as single issues. I think it was
Okay,
6 or 8
yeah,
single issues. I actually read it. I tracked it down online and
really, really.
read it.
Yeah,
The comic book,
actually, I'd love a link because
okay,
actually, I think I need to read the comic, you know. But keep going.
definitely. The comic is almost as vague and confusing as the movie itself.
Really, because I was actually hoping that the comic would
Oh
add
no,
clarity that we
it
didn't
will
have.
not give you any clarity.
Wow, really, really.
And you know that it's both the strength and the weakness of
Yeah,
this. It's the
yeah,
strength for me because when it comes to horror, I could care less about a knife wielding maniac. Give him a
right.
chain.
Me either. Yeah,
I don't care. Um, it's these unnameable, almost incomprehensible things. The monster in this movie was almost a concept.
yeah, yeah. Actually, kind of was. Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, and I do have to say that even though it's like and believe me, I know plenty of people, good friends that actually like hate bad endings and hate like unsettled or even like open-ended kind of endings. And this did have both a little bit of an open-ended, but also it definitely a dark, bad ending.
Mhm.
Um, to be forewarned, if you're going to watch the movie,
Well, it's
it's not going to end with hearts and flowers. Um, but
it, this movie has a surprising lack of gore and violence.
yes, yes, it does. And because there were actually a few times that the main character, I kept thinking, dude, you're walking into some really bad stuff here. And he like people actually didn't hurt him. I mean, they kind of led him, which there was
Well,
a
I mean,
reason, but there was a reason for that.
there
But
was a reason. This is our name. Spoiler alert is going to apply to this movie more than most
yes, yeah,
because
yes,
one of the things I loved about the movie is I never saw that twist coming at the end.
no,
And, and so when it initially hit me, it hit me hard.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I I think I started to see that he was being, I mean, I could tell he was being led in a certain direction. So I
Mm-hmm.
knew there was, but I did not see that. And again, I consider myself to be, I mean, God, I've seen so many movies and of all genres, all, you know, all quality and types. And I still, every once in a while, an ending will make me go, whoa, I didn't, and I have to say, I could see we were headed somewhere, in a certain direction that he was being pulled, but I did not see it that way. And actually it was like, oh no, dude, you're screwed. You're really, really screwed when you realize, what the final what the final thing is, which,
Yeah,
again, we are spoiler alert. So if we give it away, we give it away.
right.
You guys have to understand that we're talking about films that we love. And so we come to a movie. One of the reasons why, especially we usually have Dom do the shorts, and he does an incredible job. That's why I've really had, I've said, Dom, please take the lead on this. And he's done a wonderful job with the shorts. And we usually give people a clue ahead of time or just tell them what the movie is, because it helps if you actually, if you're going to tune in and watch, it helps if you've seen the movie, and then you can tune in with us and hear our take on it. And again, we really want to hear comments, what other people think, because we're saying our comments, but we want our people watching, our viewers,
Yeah,
to
because I'm sure I'm saying things I am way off of.
well,
I'm
we're going to
people
do that.
shaking their head.
That's another thing. And we were just having a conversation before we started this. We were saying it's not like we're professionals. Neither of us went to school for film or anything like that. We're not scholars of films. We're lover of film. We love movies. And that's the thing. But we're going to make mistakes. If we say the wrong director, producer, if we make a mistake on an actor or something like that, call us on it in the comments. Say, hey, you dummy, that's not who that was or whatever. But call us on it, correct us. But we are going to make mistakes. We're amateurs that are just love film. But back to the movie.
Hopefully that's part of the charm.
Yes, yeah, yeah, really. I mean,
But I will
we're
tell
two
you
goofballs.
one big complaint that I
Yes.
read online. I've seen numerous people say this, and they're absolutely right. that skeleton figure
Yes.
over your shoulder,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
that is one of the coolest looking things in the film. And in
It
fact,
it really is.
that was what was used on the movie poster to advertise this.
Really. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because actually, it reminds me of Alien in many ways. Just the way you saw that image from Alien, but it's like it's not like they were really just copying that. It's so different and just really strange and cool. I love it. But
And
yeah,
it's almost unused during the whole film.
yeah.
We
Well, and
see it like,
that's one of the things that I think with the opening, when you see the opening, and because they go into a cave, and the one guy goes in first, and he's not the same after he goes into the cave, and he's sitting there before this skeleton, and the that skeleton. That's one of the reasons why I think it's. I wouldn't say it spoils the movie, but it's one of the reasons why that opening is so good, and it draws you in to what is in that cave and what's going on with him, and then it pulls you away to an entirely different place back in rural America, and a whole nother thing going on.
yeah, you really don't get any connection to that first part for at least an hour more into the
Yeah,
film.
yeah. So I think that's part of the problem though, because your mind keeps saying to you, well, what about the cave? What about what happened up in the, so it's like, because I kept doing that, I kept going back to well, I want to see more of that, I want to, but, but no, it's unfortunate because the rest of the film is really good. It's not that you're not like suddenly watching a boring movie. I mean, this is a scene. There were some scenes. I don't get scared during movies hardly at all. I mean, it takes a lot to scare me anymore. But there were a few suspenseful scare type scenes, and this was one of those scenes. He's wandering around that weird camp, finding different stuff, which again, it looks like they were leading him in a lot of the direction. But this scene here, where they stop their little cult ceremony and they're suddenly coming after him, and it's a oh shit moment.
That scene was amazing. I can remember when I
Yeah,
first saw that. That's exactly what I was thinking.
yeah, yeah. It's a very good scene. Yeah, all I could think of is get the hell out of there, dude. Get the hell out of there right now, right? So,
But I do think this film could have been edited much better. And
well, did
the
you?
director himself continues to refer to this movie as the rough cut.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I actually saw something online. Like I said, I didn't do my research. I had knee surgery this week for knee.
Yeah, you've got an excuse.
Yeah, and so between everything, I'm still dealing with pain and everything else. But as far as like my research, I usually do a little bit more. You're much better at the research end, but
Well, I love researching things. So
yeah, and you do a great job of that. That's your forte. But like with me, I usually try to do a little bit, and I did hardly any. I did see something online about this, how the movie was actually kind of like a rushed cut. You're absolutely right. And it was never considered to be completely edited the way the director wanted. So yeah,
well, it tanked at the box office,
I
but
didn't know
a
that.
lot of
I
that,
mean, I know I didn't notice it at the box office, but go ahead.
oh, well, there's a reason for that. There was no advertising done until a week before its release,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was released right during the pandemic.
Wow. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because yeah, that's right. The timing was terrible. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody was going to the theater at that time. I
Mhm.
mean, a lot of movies that had been made right before the pandemic hit, a lot of movies were just like released like voodoo, things like that. They were being released online that you could actually, rent or buy. And so, I mean, the movie industry pretty much gave up on the idea. It's like this isn't going to be seen, and so either the film was held, which was rarely done because they need to make their money too, and in order to return money, they need revenue. So a lot of these it was almost like direct to video. So yeah, you're right. That's probably exactly what happened with this.
This film was just wrapping up as Disney was purchasing 20th Century Fox.
Oh my God, yeah, that's so terrible timing. Yeah,
And Disney took one look at this and I think just wrote it off. They put
yeah,
almost no effort in advertising.
yeah.
They actually moved the release date up from what it was supposed to be.
Oh wow, really? Wow.
Yeah. And so, like, a lot of people are looking at this and saying Disney just had no idea what to do with this.
Huh.
And so they're like, screw it.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I mean, yeah, how unfortunate the luck of having something come out around that time because yeah, anything that was in the works. I mean, there were entire productions that got shut down during the pandemic that, either didn't get finished or they got poorly finished later. So yeah, that's a real real bad timing. But yeah, uh, well, and again on the comic. Now you said you read the comic.
Yep.
Did the ending happen the same in the comic? Was it?
So the comic
Yeah.
starts like a year or two after the movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so by the time the comic by the start of the comic, large segments of the population are coming under the grip of the empty man,
Okay. Yeah.
or at least buying into the empty
Yeah.
man theme.
Right. Well, and now that's another thing that I never fully grasped the whole thing with because when I actually when you said, hey, let's do the Empty Man, I mean, it was an unknown film to me. So when I first, like, I checked the trailer and I thought, oh, this is one of these ones like, you know, uh, like Candyman or whatever.
Mhm.
What's the other one? The thin,
Slender
yeah,
Man.
Slender Man. It's a thin man. But yeah,
That's a
the slut.
different movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But so I mean, I thought, oh, it's just going to be another one of those kind of deals, and it's not. It's but the it's weird because the concept of what this is, the Empty Man, it's something like that, but yet there's a whole lot more. I mean, because there's a whole cult built around this,
Mhm.
and it's almost like it's weird because it's almost like they're trying to gain understanding. It's a whole cult that has like a philosophy behind it. There's more
So,
to it.
so I don't think it was all that overt, but most people that talk about this movie
Right.
direct link to, and I'm going to have trouble pronouncing this, Nyarlathotep or Nyarlathotep.
Okay, I'll take I'll take your word for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is like
and I won't try to pronounce it,
a
especially with my
dark
hoarse voice.
ancient god out of the Lovecraft
Yeah.
mythos.
Okay.
And
So
so
is
with
there a
the
Lovecraft
empty,
connection?
huh?
Is there a Lovecraft connection?
Well, I would call the film Lovecraft.
Lovecraftian. Yeah.
Again, it's one of the reasons why I love it is because it somehow captures that odd otherworldly feeling that so many films try for and just don't. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Reanimator.
Yeah. Yep.
You have to do that, and that was
Oh
based
yeah.
on a Lovecraft film.
That's a favorite of
It,
mine, that movie.
it did not have the feel of Lovecraft.
No, 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 it's something else entirely. But yeah, yeah,
And so this captures this oddness. And again, it's almost a concept,
yeah, yeah.
which makes it, undefeatable. You
Right.
can't kill a concept.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, one of the ones that, and I think I mentioned this before in some of our movie talks, but um, so one of the times I want to get around to the Shuttered Room. which is a Lovecraft story, but it's done at a time that I don't think they were doing Lovecraft the way Lovecraft should
Mhm.
be done. But it's still a
I mean,
weird.
just like The Wicker Man,
Yes, yep, yeah.
great
Which
film based on Lovecraft.
yeah, and I'm talking about when you say the Wicker Man, um, nothing against Nick Cage,
Oh
but
yeah,
we're not
not the Nick
talking.
Cage one.
Yeah, we're not talking about the Nick Cage one. We're talking about the earlier version of that that was made in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, maybe. I'm not sure. But that is a great film. And that was the first Wicker Man. And why Hollywood sometimes decides to remake something that was a great movie, and they remake it poorly. If you're going to remake it, try to at least achieve the status of the original or try to go it better, but don't fall short if you're going to, remake an iconic classic.
what I found what I found to be a really odd decision, and I got this is something I need to do research in because I've got questions.
Right,
I don't know. I honestly don't know what the general feeling is about the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man.
right.
I thought it was laughable.
I did too.
I
Um,
I I thought it was horribly done and just worthy for a laugh.
yeah, I actually found myself, I seriously found myself laughing aloud at different scenes. And it was like, there's times where Nick Cage seems like he's having a laugh on his audience. I mean, Nick Cage has made some great movies. He's also made some real turkeys, and he's also like, there's times where he's bringing home a check, and so you would not think that he was trying to do that with a remake of The Wicker Man, which again, for many people, that is a classic movie, classic horror, and it's a very disturbing movie if you watch the original. In the Nick Cage version, it's actually kind of really humorous. Even when they're putting him in the Wicker Man and everything at the end to burn him up, it's like all I could think of was, man, man, this is hysterical. It does not have any of the resonance that the original one. The original one had a man of like deep faith. He was a classic like Christian uh man that was very conservative, came from these deeply moral backgrounds, and goes into a really free pagan society that was looking for a sacrifice. And they decide they find this guy that's like pure of heart, pure of soul, I guess a virgin, I don't know what.
Yeah, he basically walks into what's the movie that came out, the A24 horror where they go to that other country and they're
Oh,
sacrificed.
Midsommar, I love that
It's,
movie.
this is like this guy walked into Midsummer.
Yes, I love Midsommar.
Mhm.
That is a really good film. Florence Pugh, she's an absolutely terrific actress, and yes, I absolutely love that movie. It's trippy when they start tripping on shrooms. There's that scene, and they do a really cool effect with the camera. It's like a wave. I don't know if you noticed that, but I actually was feeling like I was like, wow, I feel like I'm tripping. And it was that powerful an effect. And it really draws you into this dreamy, crazy scene. You're like, what is going on here? And just the way it leads you up to it is very similar. It's a great movie. I love
Yeah,
Midsommar.
yeah, and I'm going to talk more on that when we actually do the video on
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But let's face, there's a ton we could say about that movie.
yes, yeah,
That's a movie I didn't think I was going to like, and
right,
it just blew me away.
right. Well, it sounds like we're off track what we're
Yeah,
talking about, but we're in some ways we're really not, because I'm looking at this, the scene that's behind me. In many ways, this movie had that same thing. It would drew you to. I mean, there was a man. This is what we're talking about here. There was a man that was being led to a certain ending, and this scene that behind me is part of the ending, and even though we're called spoiler alert, and I don't try like, and I know Dom doesn't try really hard to just totally destroy the movie for someone that hasn't seen it. But at the same time, we are gonna give things away. But that,
I actively try to avoid them,
yeah,
but there are just certain movies that's the only thing you want to talk
yeah.
about.
Well, and again, this is the ending of this is similar in many ways to Midsommar or The Wicker Man, because the man at the end finds himself, that's not him, by the way, but he finds himself at this place and he realizes, oh my God, like I've been led here, I'm a pawn in the game, and more so. But yeah, so what we're talking about is, even though we're off track in the sense of talking about other films, this is really what this film is.
I do like talking about what makes a Lovecraftian movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Yeah, I
and,
know
and
you're a huge Lovecraft. I mean, the
totally.
the books and everything. I remember when you were younger, I remember you were really into Lovecraft, and it's always been a theme with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. To
and
this day, it's my favorite.
dude, in many ways, you actually got me more into Lovecraft. Yeah, I mean, I had you know, a love for Lovecraft too, but not in the sense you did. And I think just being exposed to you and your your fandom of it, it drew me towards it.
Uh,
But
this is one of many movies I am going to
yeah,
call up
yeah.
specifically because I consider them Lovecraftian.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, there's certain, it's funny how like films too can lead you like to become more of a fan of whether it's an author or, you know, certainly directors, but um but even music. I still remember, hey, me, you, and your brother Mike went to see The Wall, and
Yep.
I liked Floyd, but I wasn't like a huge Pink Floyd fan. I went to see The Wall and I dug the film so much, just the way everything rolled, that like it made me go back and I became a big Pink Floyd fan. I mean, I started listening to all their albums, and it just completely opened me up to, so I mean that film did wonders for me. So again, like I said, I think you can be led into whether it's an author or director or whatever, but
So
yeah.
I'm gonna try and steer this back, but
Yeah,
not all the way,
yeah, yeah,
because I want to talk about one of the director's films.
right.
So this was directed by David Pryor,
Okay.
who I don't know how many people know of him. I didn't really know of him until I got into this movie.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of the making of type documentaries.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is one of his few horror films. But if you enjoy Lovecraftian horror, do a favor to yourself and take the time after you watch our video, hopefully,
Right.
take the time to track down a movie called AM 1200.
Okay. That's actually one that I haven't seen myself, but
It's
yeah.
it's on YouTube. It's 45 to 50 minutes long.
Yeah.
And it's a very, unlike The Empty Man, it's a very compact story of cosmic horror.
Huh. Huh. Yeah. I'll have to check that. Now that's one that, is that a future pick for you, or is that,
No,
yeah.
it's too short. It's a good film. It's a nice appetizer,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
It's certainly, as much as I like it, it's certainly not a must-see film.
Right.
But
Right.
you know, it's on YouTube for free. What do you get to lose? And
Yeah.
it's not a bad film.
Yeah. Yeah. No, like I said, I'm glad you picked this one because again, like I said, yeah, I'm sure I would have gotten around to it eventually, but it probably would have taken me a long time. It was not something on my radar. I wasn't really, you know, even the actors and actresses that are in that. I've seen, you know, several of them in other things, but
Mhm.
it's just not something that was on my radar. And when you brought it up, it actually really did, you know, draw a blank with me. I had,
Well, that's the thing. Like it was advertised so little,
yeah,
it was all but dismissed by Disney, and it bombed at the box office.
yeah,
this is, again, well, it's not a perfect movie, far from it.
Right.
I think it's criminally unknown.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because there's a number of movies that I mean I can think of a ton of them really, but that are like that with me. It's like people just don't know this movie, and it's a fantastic movie. And for whatever reason, the movie didn't get the studio didn't feel that it was worth putting the money for advertising. And it's like this is way better than some commercial crap that they will put out there, and they'll spend millions to advertise a movie that's a lesser film. And it's like, really, you just let a good movie languish. And
Well,
yeah,
to give Disney a good excuse, I can remember one reviewer writing about this, and what they said was perfect. They said, um, it's a horror that turns into a mystery that comes around back to a horror again.
yeah, yeah,
And the big bad monster at the end is like an idea.
yeah.
Like, how do you sell that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the guy basically said, you don't. You put it out and hope that audiences find it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I get, it's probably good you picked this one because hopefully there will be some people that will get exposure to it now. Not that our channel is like super widely viewed, but but
Got to
still,
start somewhere.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But and again, like I said, as far as this film goes, um, yeah, it's definitely I would tell anybody it's worth a look if you're at all into comics, sci-fi, horror, it's worth a look. And it's a good story. It's not going to be one that's going to be like nice and neatly wrapped up and tied up. So don't expect that.
It'll
But
leave you thinking about it for a while, though.
yeah, but that's the thing. I like movies like that. I love movies that actually, and I like the uncomfortableness sometimes. I know we've talked about this before, but I like this movie leaves you with that feeling because you're thinking to yourself, man, and even though you kind of know the guy's fate, at the same time you're thinking like, what is actually, it's like because what happens isn't good at the end. The guy does not have it's like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can say it's a fate worse than death, but it's like
it's pretty
you
bad.
you've been a pawn, and
Yeah,
you're just going to get used. Your life is
yeah,
now, you belong to this thing.
yes, oh yeah, yeah. It's kind of like being possessed or something. It is, but
So the first time I saw this, I completely missed this clue.
okay.
But the main guy's name is James Lasombra, and
Oh, okay.
the sombra
Yeah,
in Spanish is the shadow.
okay. Yep, yep. Yeah. I actually I didn't pay attention to that at all. So yeah, that
They peppered clues throughout, but they
yeah,
were very subtle.
yeah, yeah. No, that's actually a nice little bit of trivia there because no, I missed that completely. So yeah, that's a cool little tidbit there for but no, good choice, Dom. I'm really, like I said, I'm very happy you brought this one to me.
Again, it's a near and dear one. I am in the cult that is a cult fan of this.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's I can't say I'm not gonna say it's a favorite film of mine or will be a favorite film of mine, but it was a very enjoyable watch. And it's also one that, like, believe me, there are movies that I love, there are movies that I like. If I tell you that, like, if you said, hey, let's watch this again, in a month, 2 months, whatever, like I would sit down and say, yeah, let's watch it. And actually I would,
Got so many things to watch, though.
yeah, well, that's a trouble. That's a trouble.
One thing I'm being aware of that I want to start including is where you can find the movies we're talking about.
Yeah. You
So
mean,
I believe this is streamable on Hulu.
yeah,
We watched it on Vudu,
yeah,
and I believe you can rent it from either Amazon and YouTube.
yeah, yeah. We probably should start making note, because some of these films are going to be a little harder. The pick that I have for my pick for next week, because it's going to be my pick, and that's actually one that's a little bit harder, but it is available. And I mean, I could actually say it. But I'll let's wait. I'll have you do the short. I'll have you do the short.
Doing the teasers.
But yeah, the one that I've got for it is an older one, but it is definitely available. It's out there. You might have to look a little bit. So maybe, yeah, we can start including that, because that's a good point. Some people are, especially if you're newer to film and you haven't seen some of these, we do, newer films and we do older films.
And like I talk about movies and TV a lot, and the question I'm inevitably getting is, where can I find this? And
Yeah.
so
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think it might be nice to include.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. It's actually, let's try to really make a point of telling people, because some movies, there may be people that actually have an interest, but they think, I don't know where to find that, or whatever, and they're just going to be too lazy to look for it. But yeah, hopefully we can help them at finding the movie. It might not be a bad idea to include that in the shorts, that when you do a short,
It's a good idea.
because that way, if somebody wants to see it ahead of time, I love the idea of what we're doing with the shorts, what you're doing with the shorts, because it does give, if we really have people that are following us, then it gives people that little shot ahead of time, that if they want to see the movie so they can follow along and not have it be a spoiler, then yeah, it does help. So
Also, it's going to give sponsors a little taste of just what we can do for them.
that's right. That's absolutely
I
right.
don't know if Hulu or Amazon are listening.
Yeah, well, but yeah, believe me, we're definitely open for sponsorship. So if anybody is listening that wants to, we'll gladly take that. So, but yes, like I said, Dom, good choice. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the one, this pick in the background is definitely a dual shot there. One is from the comic,
Yep.
one side's the comic, and actually, is that a drawing in the background of the skeleton too, or is that from the?
Yeah, I don't think so, because
I think that's right from the film.
looks like a photo,
Yeah,
but it's hard to tell a lot of times.
yeah, yeah.
It's funny, I describe this as the 2020 horror film because I believed it was released in 2020, but like filming ended in 2018, I believe.
Oh,
And
whoa,
when you
really?
look at the comic books, there are two versions of this, both by Cullen Bunn, one in 2014 and one in 2018.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay.
this isn't just one story. Again, this is more of a concept, which is why the movie is somewhat confusing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm actually, it's gotten me where now I really want to, I do want to check out the comic. You'll have to send me a link.
I'll send you that link.
So yeah, but like I said, I was actually hoping that when I talked about the comic, after you said you read it, I was saying like, okay, does it clear it up? And you're like, no, it doesn't. So,
Nope.
but
It's like, the cult, the Empty Man cult,
yeah,
is very much alive in the comic book. But again, what actually is happening, what's doing it, what is the entity, what's going on? Yeah, no, it doesn't really get any clearer.
yeah, that's unfortunate. Well, it's funny too because there are, and I do think it's probably an editing issue, but there are scenes that feel different, and like it kind of jars you when they, which I've seen that a lot in films when they start out and they've got a scene, say, on a mountain, somewhere in a completely different place, maybe in a foreign land or something like that, and then they go back to their hometown, whatever, and they're back to their normal life. Not that those people were, because that was completely different people, but that you all of a sudden are introduced to. But the tone and the feel is so different. And there's a number of times where I kind of got that feeling, that the feeling when you go in, when he's investigating the cult, that feels really weird, different. And even though it's the cult he's investigating, that whole scene out with the cabins in the woods, that's
Mhm.
another scene that feels really strange and different. And it like really throws you because now you're in this entirely different place and feel. And then of course, where it ends at the hospital, that is like throws you kind of again. But
I,
it's
I, I have the feeling there are certain scenes in here that this is a very uneven movie.
yeah, yeah,
And some of the scenes don't even feel like they should be in the same movie. They're great scenes. And I almost feel like the director loved them so much, he didn't want to edit them out,
yeah, oh,
but
yeah,
they really
or
did not
change or whatever.
contribute.
Yeah, reshoot them.
Like
Yeah,
I will point to the shower scene.
okay. I'm
With
trying
the
to think the
woman in the
shot.
shower
Oh,
with
okay,
the scissors.
okay, yes,
You know, great scene.
yeah,
It doesn't really go with the tone of the movie.
yeah, yeah. No, it's uh I don't know. Like I said, I got that vibe um several times. Like it's like what's going on, because it felt like you're suddenly being thrust into a different movie. And so I think if the people that don't like it maybe are going to have probably more problems with that, which again is unfortunate because as a whole, it's a good movie. And even though it does kind of like, it's a bumpy ride. Let's put it that way. It's a bumpy ride where it's you feel like you're in one car, and then suddenly, you go from a Cadillac to a Jeep Wagoneer on a bumpy trail, and it's
I would put this movie firmly in the category of a cult classic, and not
yes,
because it features a cult,
yeah,
but because this movie is going to have to scratch a particular itch
yeah.
for you to like it.
There's going to be certain. I definitely think there's going to be certain, probably maybe Lovecraftian fans, but certainly some comic. There's going to be some people who are going to look at that comic and say, oh, they didn't do it right and they didn't do justice to it, and they'll be outraged about it. But haven't read the comic. I just think it's a cool movie. And again, it's something. It's not going to be a front running favorite for me, but at the same time, I would rewatch it again anytime. So that says a lot. If I see a movie and I say, yeah, it was worth one look, I'd never see it again. It's That's certainly not what this is. This is a good movie. I would definitely say watch it, and especially if you're somebody that likes stuff that's maybe a little bit left of center. You're a little bit more on the. So if you like movies like that, this is a fun movie. It's a good weekend movie to watch. Bake some popcorn, sit back. This is a fun movie.
Yeah, I think that's a good play. That's a good tone to end it on.
Yeah, yeah. I think we did justice to this movie because we both enjoyed it. I think you loved it.
Oh,
I
I did.
I sincerely enjoyed it, and I would highly recommend it. So I will have to give it complete thumbs up. And,
Yep.
yep, yeah, I'll give 2. But no, okay, before we go, another thing we got to say, please like and subscribe. It's, neither of us really like to say that, but please do if you would. It helps us. We hope that we're gaining, we seem to be doing pretty well with gaining new subscribers, which is great. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. We definitely need the viewing hours. We need the watchers. We need the subscribers. And, but we really do thank anybody that's tuning in and watching. I know we're, too crazy movie nuts, but maybe we're not everyone's cup of tea, but hopefully we're your cup of tea. But yeah, so hopefully, or big long drink of beer, so whatever. But yeah, Dom, I had a great time talking about this.
I had a great time as always. I don't know if I'm still transmitting because I think we just lost power.
Well, I'm seeing you, so
Okay.
so you should be on the record. But I'm gonna have to we're gonna have to say we're worried about losing Dom's power here, so we're gonna call this one a day and or night. And thank you guys again, Dom. I had a blast. Good
Yep.
choice, good pick. Great talking with you again, man. It's always enjoyable.
Always awesome.
Yeah.
And see
Thanks,
everyone
man.
next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Take care, guys.